And good morning to everybody, and welcome to the Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview. My goal every Tuesday is to put on the mortgage industry's best sales meeting. Today, I have Shant Banosian. Did I say that right, Shant?
Yeah, you did all right.
Banosian.
We'll get used to those Armenian names.
Yeah, I love it, man. So Shant, thanks for making time today. Most
Thanks for
people in the
having me.
mortgage industry. Yeah, no, it's great to have you. So guys, Shant is the #1 team leader in America. How many loans did you close this last year, Shant?
We closed 3,551 loans, a lot of refis, a lot of purchases. So it was a great year. We're very fortunate, and I'm feeling grateful to be in this industry.
Yeah, well, you have definitely set the bar very, very high. I don't think I've ever done an interview where I had so many top producers submit questions for me to ask you. So as I interview you, it will not only be questions I had, but it will be the whole mortgage coach community. Guys, I know you're going to ask me, is this recorded? This is recorded. It'll be in our YouTube channel within an hour. And if you are not subscribing to the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, highly recommend you do. So Shant, let's just get after it. For anybody who doesn't know you, if you could just describe your mortgage practice, your market, just give us a high level overview.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been in the Boston market now. I've only been in the mortgage business really since, I got into the business in 2003, right? I started into it right out of college. I worked at a subprime mortgage lender way back in the day, pounding the phones on lendingtree.com and lowermybills.com leads. If you guys remember Champion Mortgage way back in the day, when your bank says no, Champion says yes, that's kind of where I cut my teeth. Frankly, it was like one of the best things I ever did, because it taught me how to be a professional, to be a professional salesperson, but also to sell value, right? And to really just kind of separate myself immediately from my competition. And, because every single one of my clients, they were in there and they were getting called by 4 or 5, 10, 12 other people. And as a 22-year-old kid, I really needed to kind of stand out quickly, and also do a great job communicating. And how important is that now, where our entire industry has gone almost completely phone or digital based. So
well,
great.
Well, two things come to mind. Do you think it built that prospecting callus to where you love to grind, you love to talk to a lot of folks, and so you built that prospecting callus?
Yeah, it taught me. Yeah, it was great. Hindsight being 2020, it was a great start into the mortgage business. 5 years into it, literally, I couldn't have been happier. Things were going great. And poof, overnight, company closed, shut the whole thing down, and I was left without a job. I live right outside Boston, so everybody and their mom was telling me to get out of the mortgage business and go do software sales or what everybody else is doing. And I really enjoyed it at that point. To be perfectly honest with you, I thought that was going to be my career. I didn't know where I was going to go with it, but I just knew I liked the mortgage business. I liked helping clients. It fed everything in me that I was looking for. It was fun. It was competitive. There was camaraderie within the team. There was, you're helping people. And I saw a need for it. Frankly, I didn't think the whole mortgage business was going to disappear, although some days it felt like it.
Right.
So I decided to, I decided to stick with it. And I convinced a small local regional company out of Jersey to let me open up a branch in Massachusetts. And, that was probably one of the keys to my entire career, because in 2008, I didn't really know much about, at that point, I didn't really know what Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA was, because when you're in the subprime world, you just have one product, they tell you to sell it. And, but, I learned immediately, that was, not only was the mortgage industry hurting, but the rest of the whole world was hurting. We were in an economic crisis, right? There was a housing crisis, everything. Stock market wasn't doing so hot. And so I had to grind. I really had to, I had to do everything I could in order to make it, and I worked, I was everywhere. I was relentless in terms of looking back at it now. I'd wake up with a breakfast meeting. I'd have a lunch meeting. I'd go to an open house. I'd call a gazillion people. I was at every single networking event. I was in every single networking group. And it turned out being great, because a lot of mortgage people had gotten out of the business at that point, and I was going full throttle into it. And so it was awesome, because, when everybody else, I became the trusted source for a lot of the real estate people in the market. And I was there and I was learning, so it was hard, because how do you convince people to trust you with their business when you kind of really don't know what you're doing yet. But you can make up for it a lot just with a lot of hard work and just being available and being consistent. And if not knowing the answers, not faking it, just like getting the answers fast and getting back to people. So that those first couple of years, I went from my first year, I think I did like $9 million, and it was like the hard way, but within a couple of years, we were doing 30 million. And then, 4 years into it, I was already up to 50 million. And it was almost all purchased at that point. There wasn't a lot of refinance activity going on, although it started to kind of happen as rates started falling afterwards when, as stimulus kicked in and whatnot.
So new loan officers, I hope you heard how he grinded, how he hustled, how there was no one shiny pill or silver bullet. It was like he was going to open houses. He was prospecting. He was hitting realtors. Now, I do think, you don't want to go 20 different directions, but you got to go a couple different directions. And Shant, we will close with your advice to any new loan officers getting in the business. But I want to make this conversation valuable, whether it's a brand new LO in the business, whether it's someone that's just looking to go to the next tier, or whether it's a mega producer that's just looking for a good idea. So let's make sure we break down your platform today. How many team members are doing all this volume, and just kind of describe the departments that they're in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's definitely the secret to my success, right? Like it's the people that I surround myself with and the team that I have, right? So, we did $1.7 billion in volume. We did 3,550 loans, so about 300 loans a month. Where some months we obviously did much more than that, and some months we did less than that. But right now we staffed up to we have about 42 people on the team. Okay, it's split up amongst 5 different. We have operations, we have sales, business development, marketing, and then sales support. We'll call it or at administrative, and that's how we did it. But so and I always love the best. I don't know what to call it, like a backhanded compliment is like, hey, I do that kind of business. If I had that many people, and ultimately, then you should do it, right? Because it's a lot of fun. It's I've been very fortunate. I'm having way more fun doing this with my team, helping me and supporting me and helping us grow. It's more fulfilling for me, and it's awesome. But so the bottom line is, we're heavy on the operations side, heavy on the sales side, and then we've got small groups in the business development and marketing.
Got it. So it's funny. First of all, to be doing the kind of volume you're doing with 42 loan officers, that's like 80 loans a month per team member, guys. That's incredibly efficient, incredibly effective. And so you're killing it. For Jan Stone, who just posted in the group, Jan, I will close out with new loan officer questions, but if you have them, keep them coming, Jan. I will get to you. So let's talk, because one thing that I think is amazing at what you've done, I've seen a lot of top producers get production partners so they can scale their production, but you've obviously done that at a very high level, but you've also scaled biz dev, because to do that many units, how many leads are you generating a month? Like over 5,000.
Yeah. No. I mean, from a lead flow standpoint, we're probably generating about 1,000 leads a month, right? In terms of onboarding, new clients that are coming into us. Generally, we take anywhere between 100 to 120 full purchase applications on a monthly basis. And then, we've obviously got the refinance applications this week as well. The cool thing about purchases, we've always been purchase heavy, right? So our conversion looks really high because, the sales cycle for a purchase, it could be, you could have apped that person last year and they finally found a house now. You know what I mean? So we don't double count that. But my business development team does an amazing job. The phones ringing, emails are ringing. And then we have a super loyal previous client database of people that just are repeat clients that, we've done a really great job for over the years. I mean, we do a great job, targeting our previous clients and kind of keeping them sticky over the course of the years. And there are sales force out there referring us tons of business coming back to us. But yeah, I mean, I've had, I definitely remember getting up to, in my opinion, for all you new loan officers that are out there listening, getting up to about 50 million was difficult, right? I thought, I've said it now, the numbers are skewed now because that was 10 years ago, right? But, especially coming off a year like this, but getting up to 50 million, I thought was super hard. I remember doing it was December of, I can't remember what year, but it was the year I got up to 50 million. And it was, I did something like 30 loans that month, and I closed like 10 million bucks in volume, right? And I was spent, and I didn't think I could ever work that hard ever again. I was like, it took everything I had. And I was like, I don't know if like that's repeatable. Whereas like I'm not working as hard now, and I work extremely hard. I mean, I'll outwork. I can hang with anybody from a pure effort standpoint and pure efficiency standpoint. And that's part of like a lot of these people. I was worried about getting on this call, like having this like secret to my success, and part of it is just like grittiness and effort, and like making up for what you don't know with just determination and skill and consistency. But I was working, and then I realized that one, I would have more fun if I did it with a team. Two, I could deliver a better service experience to my clients if I didn't have to do everything. And if there's one bit of advice that I can give to a newer loan officer, or maybe somebody that's been stuck from a volume standpoint, it's the loan officers wear this badge of honor where they're always like, well, I have to do everything myself. I'm a control freak. I hear that all the time. Like, well, if I don't do it, it's not going to get screwed up. Well, I mean, it's going to get screwed up. That will hold you back. I was that same person. When I was doing $50 million, I thought I had to do everything. I was handling, my sales. I was working on the loan approvals. I was collecting conditions. I was doing everything, and it held me back. I couldn't do anymore. And so at that point, I think the second phase of my development was, when I came to my current company, was my eyes opened up to like what was available out there. Because working at a small company, I didn't really know what was going on in the mortgage business. And then all of a sudden I got surrounded with a bunch of big producers that had these like, small production units, but that had support. And those key hires that I made, every year I make a key hire or key hires over the course of years that help us expand and grow. And that's been monumental. There's only so much, you can do on your own. I've been fortunate. Like I said, I have a great team, and I've been able to leverage like really great, talented people. And leveraging people to do what they're talented at and have them bring in ideas and skills and their mindset, and that just spreads, and it's much more powerful than one person can do on their own.
I love it. So let's make sure I'm clear on the inflection points in your career, where you went from just winning on your own to building a team. Now, when you first built a team, does it just like one person, two people, and you were kind of a small team for how many years? Were you a small team or a smaller team?
Yeah, so I will say this, I was definitely late on the hiring part, right? So again, I was coming off the whole industry collapsing. And so like I had that in the back of my mind in terms of like that could happen at any moment. So like I'd always probably hired a little bit too late early in my career. But yeah, at 50 million, I had me and a sales assistant, right? And essentially, when I got up to 120, 150 million, we had loan processors, obviously. At about 150 million, I finally hired like a production manager or operations manager, if you want to call it, because what was happening is I was still relentless in terms of my effort, but like I was just falling behind. I wasn't able to give my clients the type of service they needed once they were in process. I was able to manage like, my leads. I was able to manage my realtors, but like I wasn't able to do a good job in terms of once deals went into process, and all of a sudden, the million things that go wrong between appraisals and titles and underwriting and all that stuff. So I finally brought somebody in at that point to take all that stuff off my plate. And essentially, whenever you hire somebody, guys, I think my biggest advice is always elevate and delegate, right? That's what we talk about here in my office all the time. It's you bring in people that are as good as you are at the parts of the job that you don't want to do anymore, or the parts of the job that they're better at than you are. So like I try to do every single day, I try to do things that I'm passionate about and that I'm really good at. And that's all I like to spend my time on. It makes the day go by faster. It's more fun. It's more fulfilling. And I try not to, and if I'm going to hire somebody to take stuff away from me that I'm either don't want to do or I'm not great at, I want to make sure those people, love what they're doing and are great at it and are totally okay doing it. Too many people try to copy like essentially themselves. And you generally don't need another one of you. You need somebody that's better than you at certain skill sets. And that's how to really scale a team and scale a business, in my opinion.
Well, I think the thing that you've done that is super unique when you look at the volume, you just look at, top producers, and there's not like a lot of people doing over 500 loans a year, but I mean, there's a crowd, there's a crew of mortgage professionals, team leaders doing over 500 loans. And there's thousands. Guys, 2020 has been an incredible year for the industry. And I've never seen more loan officers doing over 100, but 200 to 300 loans a year. I mean, it's crazy. but you've taken it to a new level. I mean, there's only a couple loan officers in the country that have done over $1 billion. So, and I think just from an outsider looking in, it's how you scaled biz dev. That's what no one else has been able to figure out. They know how to add a production partner and they know how to scale production, but the industry doesn't know how to, for the most part, how to scale biz dev. When did you say I'm going to start scaling biz dev, and what were your hires and where are you at now?
Yeah, so it was probably, I'd probably gotten up to almost, it was about 5 years ago. It was 5 years ago as I made a decision that I couldn't do what I needed to do anymore, and make it sustainable or able to grow it. I was doing about 400 million at that point. So I'd gotten, relatively, I was already one of the top loan originators in the country at that point, if not the top. But I just knew it wasn't sustainable. I have 3 young kids. I have a wife. I want to keep my wife. I want to keep her happy. And I also want to be a really great dad. So I just knew something had to change. And, everything I've done has always been about, like fulfillment or freedom. But so, I think it's a combination of really great business development and marketing. We're very big into communicating with our clients. And when I say clients, it means not only new clients, but also our existing database, whether they've done a loan with us or not, however they want to be communicated with. So having a strategy, right? Social media. We were early on in social media, like way before a lot of people are using it for business, like very early on. That's kind of the only benefit I saw in it at first. So making sure you're communicating with them on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, all the new stuff. Now there's all this new stuff coming out. Making sure you're communicating with them on email, direct message, text message, phone, obviously, mail, and so we've always had a strategy for all of those things, but they've always been consistent and they've been on campaigns. Even when we weren't really good at campaigns, we still had some campaigns going on that were just like set it and forget it and automate it. And because you just never know what's going to get anybody's, you just never know what's going to like really grab somebody's attention. But like the feedback I've always gotten from my clients and my referral partners is like, God, you're everywhere, right? And it's like, that's exactly what I want to hear. My motivation back in the day, it would drive me insane when somebody I knew bought a house and didn't use me for their mortgage. Like it would literally, like, I would not want to be their friend anymore, right? And it wasn't and I mean that kind of joking, but like then I realized like, hey, it's not their fault. They didn't know, like they forgot, like they didn't. So my motivation was always like, make sure they don't forget, and that like I'm branded as the mortgage guy, and it's worked. So one part of it is that communication. The other part of it is like, from a business development standpoint, what I've always done a good job at and what my team's done an amazing job at is, one, building those strong relationships. Like we truly work with partners that we like to work with. They trust us, we trust them. We become friends with them. We add value to them more than anything, right? So like, we're not like one of those loan originators where it's like, hey, I have good rates, send me your clients, right? Like we try to come up with different ways in which we can add value. And I think that's where we've really stepped up over the last few years in terms of just, offering them stuff. Everything I've learned, I like to read a lot. And I'm very like, I'm just observant, right, of anything. And like, if you look at the way other businesses are run, every single business has a different strategy in terms of like, customer service, client management, account management, like the different values they offer. So we've tried to just incorporate like what other industries are doing within the mortgage business and try to be well-rounded with it. We're certainly not perfect, but we're trying, like we're trying really hard to do it. But I think we do a great job in terms of just like staying in front of our referral partners, reminding them of the value that we add for them and their clients, but also helping them grow their business, improve their business, and in some cases even like, give them ideas in terms like improving their lives. Like we do an Atomic Habits class every single year, right? Like we read the book, we really buy into it. One of my team members does an amazing class on Atomic Habits. Great beginning of the year, we're pumping it out, we're giving them materials, we're focusing on it. It's like, that's something different, right? Like, and there's a bunch of examples like that, but we're just trying to come up with ways in which we can do different stuff.
Well, I know in the prep call that we had for this, and I know when we started working together to roll out Mortgage Coach within your team, one thing that's clear to me is you're humble, you're hungry, you're smart, and you're always looking to just improve the next thing. Like, what can I improve next? I'd love to ask, I know the answer to this question, but I think it will be interesting for the audience. How often do you and your team train?
So that was, I think one of the reasons that we were able to grow very early on is that we were like really bought into training, right? And then like we were training at the beginning, especially in operation and sales, like it was religious in terms of like once a week we'd have a training session. We'd cover two things, and this is when we were smaller, so and doing less volume, so we had a little bit more time. We'd cover every single week product, and then we'd cover service in terms of like how you can, whether it's prospecting, communicating with clients, all that kind of stuff, every single week. Now we've shifted to now we're doing it pretty much 4 days a week, right? But we've cut them much shorter to a half hour, and we're just getting together. We call them little sales huddles, and we talk about something different every single day. There's always something to talk about. It's mind blowing, and we got away from it for a little bit when it got really busy. We always use the excuse, "Oh, we'll get to it. We're busy." And then I realized like stuff started. The minute we got away from it for a little bit, stuff really started slipping, and service level dipped. And the minute we brought the training back, two things happened. One, everybody's confidence like increases drastically, so everybody knows how to handle every situation. Situations stop happening because they're proactively handled or preemptively handled up front or eliminated. And then overall, it's just like it's good for morale, it's good for energy, and it's important. And it allows you to implement new things. It allows you to pivot. We're early adopters now to Mortgage Coach. Had we not had the culture of the training and be able to kind of have the meetings with you guys and learn what's going on and try to do that stuff, it would have been a lot harder to implement. So training is important.
So guys, take that. Like he has scaled at a level that the industry has not seen, and the daily training culture, I'm confident, is a big part of that. Where it's a learning culture, it's a training culture, and I know a lot of companies and people that don't even train weekly, and so it's one of my themes for 2021. The industry needs to upgrade. I do believe that the opportunity for a local referral based loan officer or team that uses technology, it's like it's never been better. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you think? Like, is it just like ridiculous the tech you have and the leadership team? Like, how fired up are you about the next 5 years?
Yeah, it's like the amount of stuff that you know I was thinking about it yesterday, right? Like the amount of stuff I was able to get done in one day, right, is mind blowing now because of like, before, even just a few years ago, I'd have to travel with my laptop everywhere. Everything was slow. The client import was hard. I had a client apply for a mortgage last night at like 10:30 p.m. And by this morning at like 7 a.m., they had a pre-approval in their inbox, and it was a legit like credit's been reviewed, tax returns, W-2s, pay stubs, bank statements, everything's already in there waiting for me. And I've never had a conversation with a client, but like I could never have gotten to that point where like just a few years ago because of the digital app, the transfer safe ability, like just them getting us their information, us presenting them the information in a way in which they can understand it, all without literally even a phone call, right? And it's 100% bulletproof in terms of like the accuracy of the information. So it's been massively important. I mean, I think that's one of the things that, along with adding really great people to our team, I think one of the other things that separates, the big producers, whether, you mentioned there's a bunch of people that have done $1 billion. All those people, the difference, they just work faster, right? They take in information and make it simple and provide it back to their clients in which way they understand it. But I can have a really super impactful call that establishes rapport, that communicates everything all in 15 or 20 minutes, whereas other people would tell you they need an hour or hour and a half for that call. It's just it's all about like really understanding what the client wants and how to communicate it to them in a really efficient way. Another one of the reasons why we hopped on the Mortgage Coach bandwagon.
So let's get into that. Let's get tactical. So guys, we're 24 minutes into this. We've got 36 minutes left. I've got a lot of questions from the community. Keep them coming. I'm going to transition to those questions in just a minute. But what is your Mortgage Coach why? Like, why have you decided to like, hey, we need to implement Mortgage Coach as a team? I
Yeah.
need to implement it. What's your why?
Yeah, there's a couple things, right? One, the business is changing. It's always changing, right? Like there's never a time where it's the same as it was the year before. But like, in my opinion, the business has changed more in the last year than it probably will change, than it changed in the previous year. And what I mean by that is this. One, people are overwhelmed and stressed out, right? And what I mean by that is like, the world's changed. Like there's a lot more drama between COVID, between all the political stuff. Like people are just like burnt, right? And so they're on edge. And this is my opinion, right? The sale is not as more important to them. What they want right now is they want trust, they want safety, they want transparency, they want somebody that's going to empathize with them, and they want somebody that's just going to like be a guide, be an advisor. And I feel like that's what I like about Mortgage Coach. Like it's not, I don't feel like it's a hard sell when I'm talking to them when I'm using the Mortgage Coach platform, right? So it's a way to present something to somebody where it like clearly just shows value. And I don't feel like I'm selling, I feel like I'm advising. So that was one part of it. The other part of it is my team's grown, right? Like, so I have, like I said, as things grow, and as any company grows, you try to put in quality control measures, right? Like you try to make sure that the information that your clients are getting and they're relying on is being delivered the same way, whether it's me or one of my staff members, right? And so I love the way that Mortgage Coach not only presents it, but also it helps guide those other people in terms of one, coming up with ideas in terms of what to present to clients, but two, it makes it that it's uniform, standard, and it's not like 6 different formats by 6 different people, right? So those are the 2 whys for me, and the last part, 2 why, the third why was just, I was intrigued by, as you said earlier, like I like the community, I like the ideas. I don't, I'm always like I'm a sponge for information. So like, I've learned even just in a few phone calls from you, just some really cool ideas from some of the other people in the Mortgage Coach community that I know and that I respect that told me they've learned a lot of cool things. So I'm just always looking to kind of surround myself with people that know what they're doing and are trying new, innovative things. And, not the one thing that you'll learn about everybody here, not everybody here, but everybody in the business that's doing it, everybody does it a completely different way, right? It has to work. Like if you look at the 3 or 4 people or whatever, 20 people that did over 500 million or whatever, how many people there are, right? They all have a different approach. They all have a different business model. They all have different personalities, but they figure out what works for them. They master it and they execute. So I'm just trying to come up with new things that like I can learn, make it my own and just run with it. I'm not looking to copy anybody. I'm not, or maybe I am, but like, I'm just looking to like, just get smarter and get better. And we're an open book with what we do. So, I'm just hoping to learn.
So for any new loan officers that listen to that, the big takeaway is always learning, implementing new systems, and being consistent with it. Like you can't be great at something if you don't consistently do it. So let's pull up a TCH because I just want to make sure people connect the dots of some of the things you said. And I love the fact that you used the word guide because that's been a word we use a lot inside our company. We want to make it so that as an originator, your advice matters and you're guiding people. Because I just believe that when you do that, you get clients for life. So I think it's important to note, make sure you've got your picture, make sure you've got your brand. You'll notice this is a refi. And this is where you're going from, and tell me, Shant, what you think of this, going beyond the transaction. Like every loan officer in America would say, hey, here's your current loan. Maybe they would just do a shout out. Hey, I can get you this rate and save you this month. Let's go. Maybe they put it in writing and they show a couple options. But with Mortgage Coach, you can show a couple options based off of different points and rates. But then you can also show an option of, hey, what if you took it and you kept making the savings of 259 and you applied it to your principal? Look at how much faster you could pay off your home in 23 years. And then look at that over different periods of time. Is that what you mean when you say transparency and making it clear?
Yeah, 100%. Like I want them to be like, I want them almost to pick and say, well, this one, like I want to hear them say, well, this one's a no-brainer. Like, I don't want them getting off the phone being like, well, I feel like I know I'm refinancing. I feel like he was talking fast and I know I'm saving money, but I don't know like what just happened, right? Like, whereas like I want them being like, I want them using words like, well, this one seems like a no-brainer. Like this one, it works with what our retirement goals are. Or this one helps accomplish everything that we set out that we wanted to do when we got on the call or before we made the call. Like I want them feeling, again, I mean, this has always been my approach. So I just think it's more important now than ever because I don't think people want, beyond the sale, beyond the transaction, like you said, that's a perfect way to put it. they want to just work with that security of like, I see it, I understand it, it works, and I pick that. And then like getting off the phone, like feeling 1,000% confident that they like get it. And I like visuals. Maybe I'm like, I'm like a child in that way. Like I'm like, pick that one. But like, I've always loved
most people
visuals.
like visuals. Most people like visuals. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not
So
just
like, and so that's what attracted me to it. And we've, you know, it's just, I'm excited about it. It was actually one of my big goals for 2021 is implemented. We accomplished a lot of good stuff in 2020 that I'm proud of. But I think hopefully we look back at the end of this year and just completely crush it with the mortgage coach.
love that. One more point I want to make, guys, because it is a purchase market. You know, there's going to be less refis in 2021. We need to crush it with purchases. And while Mortgage Coach on a purchase shows the transparency of different options on time over time, which is a differentiator in the marketplace. But I want you to look at it as like it is your art. It's the paper, it's the ink, so that you can help a family make an informed decision, and it's a platform to communicate with them. I think that's an important. We live in this link economy where we send a video with a link, we send an app with a link, we need to send advice with a link. What links are you using? Just getting tactical. You're obviously using the Mortgage Coach link. You're using the fill out your app link. Are you doing much video? Are people scheduling meetings with you with a link? What other links
Yeah.
are you using to drive efficiencies?
So, in terms of just, we're offering all our clients Zoom calls and like GoToMeeting or, whatever like that. We shifted to that almost immediately, especially myself personally. I didn't want to lose that human contact. A Zoom call or a GoToMeeting call is just as effective as a person-to-person sitting in your office with you. It's great, super efficient. So we've switched over to video, and I'm super comfortable with it. I like it. It's actually been nice, internally within the team and, with our clients and our realtor partners, even like, our business development team switched over, to, many different Zoom calls on a daily basis. We're doing Zoom events. We're doing Zoom classes. Like, I'm not going to fight the environment that we're in. Like I'm going to adapt and pivot and adopt. And we did it almost overnight. Like there was no like, if you go back, we do a lot of stuff on social media. If you go back to some of the early posts that we did in March and April about the market and where we thought it was heading, the biggest advice I was giving and the biggest to our people in our industry, my team, our referral partners is like, do not wait to adjust. The world has already changed, right? The way people are doing business is already changing. It might not change back. I don't think it will actually in a lot of ways. We've learned a lot of new efficiencies. And so, we're big on Zoom. I've already done 3 of those today.
I love that. I love that. So guys, put your questions. I'm going to go to some of the questions that came in prior to the interview. Shayla Gifford wants to know, what do you do with inexperienced teammates to grow them up, to make them grow faster? Do you have any processes in place? Anything you can speak to on that?
Yeah. So, that's a great question. When people come on board, I see everything that I'm going to talk through is always like the same mistakes I've made and the challenges that I've had and challenges that we're still having. Right. Like, so, when you bring somebody on board, the mistake that people make, I've seen in our business, is that, hey, here's all the stuff I need you to do. This is what your job is. And then they try to do it. And then you get mad at them when they can't get it done and they're not doing it like you. Whereas like we really try to make sure when we bring people on board, we foundationally explain them their job, why they're doing it, how to do it. We have a legit training program. Now that's evolved as the team's gotten bigger. Before I used to do a lot of it was back in the day, you just sit with me for 3 or 4 months and you just watch what I do and I explain to you as things come on board. Now, obviously utilizing people on our team. Internally, the company has a gazillion different trainings online and all that kind of stuff. Like we just give them agenda and say, these are the minimums that you have to be trained on. And then we do some stuff in person, they sit with us, but it's a lot of like, you can't just throw somebody into the fire right off the bat, expect them to do what you're going to do. And then get upset when they can't. I think it's really important to be very definitive with their role and train them little by little on just taking more and more responsibility, have them master, and then just give them more every single week. but I also think it's okay to let them make mistakes and coach them through it. What also people I think do a mistake sometimes is, somebody will make a mistake, then you immediately just jump in, you fix it yourself, and then, you're waiting for the next mistake. Whereas what we try to do is when there is a mistake, we try to coach them through as to why it happens, how you could handle it differently, and then go have them fix it. And that's really powerful because now they're empowered, they know you're supportive, and that they're likely not, if they're the right person, they're not going to make the same mistake over and over and over again. Now, in any other industry, at any real company, think about like the insanity of just like hiring somebody and be like, all right, start doing that. Like it wouldn't happen, right? But somehow in the mortgage business, it's been like, well, we'll just hire that person. They seem like a good person, and they should probably be able to do it. It's like we want to set people up to succeed. We want them to have a long career. We want them to be able to kind of, evolve and take on more. So, it's really important to hire the right people too.
So at a high level, what I heard you say is, first of all, it's like 4 months. So you spend some time. I heard you say that you're training them with online tools. Sounds like everybody has a mentor. You
Yeah.
used to be their mentor. And then my take, what I think differentiates you, at least from the conversations I've had, is that daily training culture. So it's,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people is like, okay, we train you for a month or we train you for a quarter, and then you're on your own. There's not this constant training culture. And so my takeaway, and tell me if I'm missing it, that's kind of your secret sauce is that because I think everybody does a lot of things that you say, but not everybody does that daily training culture. You think that's something
Yeah,
unique that you do?
absolutely. And like one of the things that we've adopted over like the last like 5 or 6 months is every single week, like, you see the recurring theme of issues that keep popping up. And so what I'll do is I'll write down over the course of the week, like the issues that are happening on Thursday with one of my groups. Every Thursday we have a standing hour call and we just go through all those issues, and there's like 5 or 6 people on that call and they all hear it. So if they already know what they're doing, great. If they're doing it better than I'm giving advice on, they can chime in. If they have no idea what they're doing, then they learn. So it's just, you just try to make sure, the same issues aren't happening over and over and over again. This is a hard business. Things are changing constantly. I make mistakes still. So like, who am I to get mad at somebody if they're making mistakes? I should be mad at myself for not putting them in a position to, know where to get that information, or just frankly, proactively give them that information.
Love it. Just showed up as a servant leader, which obviously you are. So Jeremy Forcier wants to know, how do you create stickiness with your team? I mean, that's a big team and you know how it is, but what are some of the values you have, and what do you think is some of the magic to the stickiness you have with your
Yeah,
team?
so we hire based on our core values. So like when we interview somebody, the interview process, we'll hire based on our core values. We actually share with them our vision, our plan, our 1-year goal, our 3-year goal, our 5-year goal. We share them. Obviously, we're super transparent what their role is going to be. And we have our core values are win as a team, do whatever it takes, always improve, and care about people. If somebody doesn't fit that mold, they don't get hired. If somebody doesn't fit that mold while they're hired, they get fired, right? Like it's that's important to us. We have them, take the personality tests. Generally speaking, most of the people that we hire are referred by somebody that's currently on the team or somebody that I know very well. So we put it out there a lot on social media that we're hiring. And then that leads to, if you have a good brand and reputation in your market, you'd be surprised as to, one, how many people are looking for a job. Unemployment was up to 15% at one point earlier this year. And and so there's some people out there that have been impacted that would love to get into this business. And two, people like working with successful people that have a vision, that have a plan, that have a goal. And so we've done a really, I have just this year, we hired almost 20 people on our team. As volume doubled, our staff doubled. That was one of the things I was most proud of this year. And 3 of those people were family members, and not it's not like I was saying, hey guys, let's ask your family if they want a job. Like 3 people on my team referred, their brother, their sister, and their son to come work here. So I think, Jeremy, to answer your question though, so one is that's how you bring them on board. 2 is, you got to stay in touch with them. We're having our weekly meetings. All of my different departments are having their weekly meetings where they're talking about issues, our goals, our progress, training. We have events with our team. We do fun stuff. We communicate, our vision. Like this tomorrow we have a quarterly meeting to talk about what our plans are for next quarter and what we accomplished last quarter. We had a full all hands on deck meeting on Friday in terms of some initiatives that we have going on. So it's just constantly communicating, not just from me, but our entire leadership team as to where we're going, where we're currently at, and and also learning from the past, guys. I think if there was ever a learning experience, it was 2020, right? Like I learned more last year. I was humbled in a lot of ways. We had success. It was hard. But you can learn a lot from what happened in 2020 and you can use that. Like I always say, the future is in the past. And like, if, some people just keep going forward without actually looking back and seeing what happened. And, there's a lot you can learn from that, from all those experiences. I mean, I don't read by, I don't learn by like studying. I learn by experiences and just trying to identify those experiences, figure out what I did right, what I did wrong, how I could improve, and just try to move forward. But hiring's hard. That's why when people say, oh, if I had that big of a team, I'd do that much business. Well, good luck, hiring and staffing and managing, and you're like a psychotherapist, a coach, a friend, everything. And it's like, there's life issues that not only you have, but people have. It's like, you can't, the more and more people you have, it's a whole different set of problems. I love it. I don't want to be a standalone loan officer. I have all the respect for everybody in the world that wants to do that, like to each their own. For me, I've always liked winning as a team. Like that's just my thing. So I like the challenges that come with it. I like the success that comes with it. And I like the camaraderie that comes with it.
I love it. And it shows, man. It just exudes from you. I don't know if you've ever read this book. I interviewed the author on Friday. It's called The Core Value Equation.
I have not. No, I will read it.
Well, it sounds like you're on it. I mean, the way you just said, I hire on my core values, you listed them off. They were easy to remember. They were compelling. They were unique to you. He talks about like, hey, can you list your core values? Can all your employees list your core values? And by the way, do your clients know your core values? And it just seems like you've built that value-based organization and you've been doing it for years and you love it. It just shows that you love your people, you love your team, and you love that. So I would love to maybe do another interview with you and just break down those values and your vision, and then how you bring that into the culture. I think that would be fun. I mean, I think would be another half hour if you're game.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to make sure I get some of these other questions. So a number of people have asked you, what's your morning routine? Do you have a morning routine? Yeah. So Leonard, thanks for that question, but it came in a few different times, and it was also one of the questions that was emailed to me.
Cool. I love that one. That's actually something, that I am super proud of. I've really dialed that in this year more than ever. I've always, the last 5 or 6 years, as I said, I have an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 2-year-old. So I kind of have to be a morning person, but like I kind of went all in on that this year. At the beginning of COVID, guys, I was kind of like, nobody knew what to do. It was new, it was weird. And I was just like kind of waiting around for it to end for those 2 or 3 weeks. And then I finally decided, I was like, I'm not going to just like stay up at night, have maybe a beer, eat junk food and all that kind of stuff. So one of the things that has helped me get through this year and helped me do way more production is to really kind of get my days and get my health and wellness right. I'm a big believer. If you take care of yourself and nurture yourself, you can take care of your team, your family way more when you're in a good spot. So, my morning routine, my alarm goes off every single day at 4 o'clock in the morning, Monday through Saturday. Sundays, I wait till 5:30. I'm at I get up, I have the same routine every day. I read 10 to 15 pages. I jump on my Headspace app on my phone and knock out a quick 10 or 15 meditation to get myself centered. It's something I picked up really in the last 3 or 4 years that I love. I stretch out at 5 o'clock. I'm at the gym. I get a killer workout in from 5 to 6. And then on 6 o'clock, I'm driving home, amped up, and I love it because I feel like I got an edge at that point. I'm looking at it like I've already stretched, I've read, I've meditated, I've worked out, and I'm good. I'm waking up early. It's dark right now, so I'm driving home. I got 4 or 5 things checked off my box, and I'm ready to go. So I've got that hey, nobody else is doing this right now attitude in a positive way, not knocking on anybody, but just feeling I'm just starting off my day right. And I love that. And so what it does for me though, I get in my door at 6:15, 6:10, and my kids are generally awake. And so like I'm in a good mood, I'm energetic, and I get them for generally like an hour and a half where I can help them. I generally make breakfast or help them eat breakfast. Sometimes I bring home breakfast. Just hang out with them, chill with them, and just like spend some time with them. Like this morning, I walked them to school, and then I'm in the office by 8 to 8:30, depending on the day and what their school schedule is like, whether they're going to school or getting school from home right now with the whole COVID thing. But my morning routine has been massively impactful. There's one day a week where I won't go to the gym. I'll knock out the Peloton and I'll get some emails done. If I wake up really early, I'll knock out emails before I start my whole kind of ritual. But like I try not to ever let anything get in the way of that stuff. I kind of have to knock those 4 things off before 6 o'clock in the morning to feel good about my morning routine and where I'm going. And it's been a game changer. I would not have had the energy I had this year had I not made some major changes. And I wouldn't have been able to put myself through the stress of like doing what we accomplished, growth, deals, craziness, the world, like all that stuff, like had I not really dialed that in. So it's been a big game changer for me.
I love it. Thanks for all the transparency. Guys, we're 45 minutes. We got 15 minutes left. There's a lot of just like 2-minute nuggets that you want to check out. So one of my goals in 2021 is to create more micro content, more highlights, more clips. So I've already made notes on what some of those are. If you do want to get a heads up on some of those clips, I have a mobile club called Savage Insights. And the number is 949-799-0837. And I put it in a link down below. If you opt into that, when we come out with new clips, new highlights, you will get the first reminder as to where to go check those out. So sign up for the Savage Insights Mobile Club. So dude, this has been awesome. A number of people have come in and just in chat here saying, hey, I want to know more about the biz dev side. And I also know I want to get one piece of content from you because when doing research for this, I saw a video that you did, which was just like, I don't know if it was 3 minutes or 5 minutes, but I remember I was into it. I wasn't just watching it because I was prepping for the call. I was like,
appreciate it.
I like the headline. I like the wisdom. Some of it I didn't know, some of it I did, but it was a reminder. Like if I was a realtor, I would have been like, I dig Shant's reminders. So tell us what your biz dev team is doing. And then let's close out this interview with like a 3-minute, like if you were going to give some tips or advice to agents that loan officers could swipe and adapt in a little bit. So don't like obviously tell anything that you don't want the community to know about, but I would just love to know what would be a good realtor message to close out. But
Yeah,
describe
absolutely.
your biz dev team.
Yeah. So if I forget anything, just let me know. But in terms of the team, one, I think the team has led the way with community giving, right? Like we've done an amazing job in terms of bringing our partners actually into our community. So like, I think what I mean by that is, we did the St. Jude Walk Run this year, raised 70,000. We've done it for the last 4 years. A lot of our realtor partners are now have their own teams through us and participating in that and fundraising their own cash and contributing to that. So they feel like, it's something that goes on for months and months and months. And so we've got them involved in something fun. We raised a lot of money for Greater Boston Food Bank this year. What was cool is like an example of what we did with business development over the course of the last couple of weeks. My business development team took, 4 or 5 realtor partners all masked up, and they went and volunteered at Greater Boston Food Bank, right? So like just keeping people active. We participate in a lot of their charities that they're working in. So we definitely lead by giving. I think it's very, very important to give back to communities that you do business in because, most of us, if you're a purchase-based loan officer, unless you're getting, doing stuff SEO, you're getting all your business from the communities that you work in. So giving back is super important. We've made a focus from day one that part of our business development strategy and just a core focus of ours that's really important is that we're going to use this as an opportunity to really give back to the people that need it around us, that support us. That's one thing. We do a lot of really great webinars in terms of like just different topics. For example, I talked about atomic habits. We talked about how to use social media, how to do social media campaigns. We did one a few months ago, like how to do target marketing on social media, how to do a content calendar, how to do YouTube advertising and YouTube videos. You know, we've done ones on email campaigns. We've had, we bring in guest speakers in terms of whether it's like we do some loan stuff too. We do actually talk about loans every once in a while, whether it's like a 2 or 3K loan or certain product stuff. We do a lot of market updates. So, you know, this year and last year, you know, regularly I was going with them to team meetings. Now we obviously Zoom into them and we give them tons of content in terms of like what's going on in the market, what they should know. They love that stuff. They love stuff that they normally wouldn't have access to. Again, it's all about like, how can we help arm you with information to help you do your job better? So it's like, we're not leading with like, send me business, please send me business. Hey, my rates are low, send me business. Like, that's not our style at all. We want them to feel value from us and want to work with us. Cause that's the way, like, I like, you know, we have vendors, right, that ask us for business and we tend to work with the vendors that add value to us. Like, I don't want to, like, that's the way I like kind of working. And so that's the way we, you know, we want to work with our partners. But, and then there's just a lot of like, just getting together with, you know, with phone calls and just checking in and just humanizing the fact that we're, you know, 2020 was probably one of the most stressful years ever. Just checking on these people. Hey, how are you doing? You know, how are you handling life? How are you handling schooling your kids from home? How are you handling all this stuff? Like, just like, you know, caring about these people. You know, one of our core values is care about people. And like, you can't just have it as a core value, but not like really give a shit. Like, it's really important to just, you know, these people, like, you know, some of these people's businesses had record years, other people didn't, other people, you know, all sorts of stuff kind of happened, whether economically, financially, there's all sorts of different stresses we didn't know. So it's just important to stay in touch. And I think my business development team and I do a really great job, just kind of letting them know we're here to help them for anything. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to my realtor partners when they're thinking about making a career change or going to another brokerage. And like, I know, you know, sometimes at the same time as their wife, you know, or something like that, or husband. So I don't know, we just try to be there for them, you know, as a true partner that adds value, not just a mortgage person.
So my takeaway from everything that you just said, it's like you are a values-driven person, you're a values-driven culture. They're documented. Caring is one of those values. And your biz dev is just like, how do I turn, it's like, how do I just give back? How do I create more value? And then you're using media and technology to broadcast that, to amplify that so that everybody knows. And I love what you said early on in the conversation, where if someone does a loan with someone other than you, you're like, first you were pissed at them. And now you're just like, it's my fault. I'm not ever present. I'm not omnipresent enough. So it just sounds like you are fanatical about that. And you've been consistent over the course of 5 years with doing that. I mean, that is the secret sauce.
Yeah. And using multiple mediums, like every medium possible, right? Like, you know, like I said, I want them, if they're reading an article on you know, ESPN.com, I want my face to pop up. If they're watching something on TV, I want my stuff to pop up. Like, I want them in their mail. I want to be in their email. I want to be in their direct messages. I want to be in their, like, I want to be calling them.
You want to be omnipresent, which is like all channels, real world and digital world.
I will use that word next time. Thank you for adding to my vocabulary.
Yeah. It's a higher education word. You guys can Google it. Omni. All right. So guys, this has been incredible. I think there's so much to get for all you new loan officers. You're going to be surprised. My advice is just get clear on your values, you know, because if you pick the right values, you remember them, you're core to them, they'll drive you. Like, write your 3-year vision. Where do you want to be 3 years from now? The more clear you are on that, the more personal it is, the more it's going to get you through the grind of prospecting. And there is a lot of grindy stuff in this business. You want to jump in on that?
Know your numbers, right? Like I did a thing here at the company a couple of years ago where we just did a webinar about, like, if you want to do $50 million or $100 million or whatever, you have to know how much staff you have to have. You have to know how many leads you have to drive in, what your lead to app conversion is, what your app to lock conversion is, what your lock to funding conversion is. You need to know how many appointments you need to make to drive those many leads, how many referral partners you have to have, what kind of referral partners are going to send what kind of business. Like, you can actually write it out, and then you just got to work backwards, right? So like, but it's some people just like work and don't know their conversion or what goes into it and can't, and then just give up real quick. I mean, that's the other part. Like this job, like if you said to me, hey, if you have to have massive commitment and then discipline and then tons of consistency. Like those are the three things that I think like I'm fanatical about. Like if you were to look back the last 12 years, that has been one thing that hasn't changed, is my commitment, my consistency, or my discipline regarding the mortgage world, right? Like in terms of, in my mortgage business, and commitment to my partners and my team and myself. But like, you have to know where you're going. You have to know how to get there, and then you have to take action. Sometimes too many people kind of make up reasons as to why not to do it. They're afraid, and they try to kind of learn everything first and try to get educated first, then do it. My whole thing is just go do it, and you'll learn afterwards. Like we all, I mean, it's like, you can't, because by the time you figured it out, the industry's changed and the answers changed. So like, just do it and stay current and stay relevant.
Love that, guys. So a couple of homework assignments to go into wrap up mode, guys. So the interview, if you're going to dedicate an hour, that interview I did on Friday with Darius, the core value equation, I'm gonna put a link down below. I mean, it was epic. I mean, I got tremendous value from that. He gives you a roadmap. We also have a why worksheet at Mortgage Coach. Like when we roll out Mortgage Coach, the first question I ask a team leader, what's your mortgage why? So I kind of know what is the bigger why, and then what's your Mortgage Coach why? Anytime you're rolling out a new piece of technology, you got to have values. You got to be clear on your why. So let's try to give people like a 3-minute script. If they were going to make a video that they were going to put on Facebook or put in Instagram, and it was just giving some quick tips for agents. If you want to do it in a minute, minute, 2 minutes, what are some of the hot tips for agents in today's market? The leadership you're bringing.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, I think right now the hot tip, right, and I know I always keep things really, really simple, right? Like it's understand how clients want to be worked with right now and understand where clients are at. In my opinion, this pandemic is the biggest motivating factor that's going to cause real estate to transact that we've probably ever had in our careers, right? All our clients are reevaluating, where they want to live, what they need in a house, and their why in terms of their house. Like people leaving the cities, going to the suburbs, that will shift back, and the cities will get busy again next year. But stay in touch with, it's more important than ever, like everyone, whether they moved last year or the year before, staying in touch with your database and staying in touch with your sphere is more important than ever. So some of the same tips I was given in terms of like what we do from a business development standpoint, in terms of just staying in contact with everybody and being omnipresent is more important than ever, because even if you did business with somebody a year ago, that does not mean they're not moving right now or considering a move. You've got more people than ever that can telecommute because of what their employers are allowing. So now the geography is expanded. You've got people going to second home markets. So in my opinion, what's gonna happen is, although we're gonna have a massive lack of inventory, the way to make up for it is just the amount of transactions that you can get and be as far reaching as possible. So somehow being involved in those transactions. But I think the bottom line is just making, if I'm a realtor, I would be doing some of the same things we're doing in terms of being omnipresent and then putting out really valuable content, and then just mixing that in terms of like making yourself an expert and mixing that up with just being ultra human right now and empathetic, with your sphere, your clients, your family, anybody that can be your sales force, because that's what people need right now. I think that's what's important in the world we're at today.
Yeah, that couldn't get better advice, guys. And make sure your agents know that you're not just giving a fee worksheet. You could give a family a refi versus a move up analysis to help them get clarity. Should we refinance and stay, or should we move up? You could give people a debt consolidation analysis. Let's face it, people have more debt and they also have more equity. So to Shant's point, what their situation was last year is different this year. So maybe it's a move up, maybe it's a refi, maybe it's just to stay where you're at. Maybe they have another family member that wants to buy their first home. Give them a move up, give them a first-time home buyer. So, but I like your closing thing. Be, uber human. We all got to connect with people on an uber human basis and be consistent. Shant, any closing words before we wrap it up, brother?
No, I mean, this is awesome. I think, I would say for your new loan officers out there, or anybody, you asked me to say something. If you're a new loan officer, wrap it up. I would say, freedom and massive results. Those are like the two things, and fulfillment I talk about are always like on the other side of boundaries, consistency, discipline, commitment, and restrictions. Like you kind of got to know what you want. You just got to go get it and be fanatical about it. And in anything you do, right? So if you really want to do big numbers and have big success and add massive value, then just like laser focus. That generally does it. It can make up for a lot of lack of knowledge.
Love it. So Sean, I'm looking forward to the next interview, brother. Looking forward to seeing you when I'm on the East Coast. And thank you for your time, man. Appreciate it.
This is awesome. Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Hey, Mortgage Coach community, if you got value, give it a like, share it with your mortgage friends. Hopefully you got value from today. We will create some micro content from this, so stay tuned for that. Take care, y'all.
Thanks, guys.